Jedna ze studentek Northeastern University w Bostonie wystąpiła do uczelni o zwrot czesnego, kiedy się zorientowała, że jej profesor opiera się w wykładach głównie na AI.
Mimo, że PRL królował i narzucali nam rektora i tak dalej, ale to nie miało znaczenia, ponieważ myśmy byli razem. I to było wspaniałe.
My name is Katarzyna Siedziewska, and I have the pleasure of serving as a Managing Director of Digital Economy Lab, DELab at the University of Warsaw. And this conference has been organized by Digital Economy Lab in partnership with the Ministry of Science and Higher Education. First of all, allow me to briefly introduce DELab. Our mission is clear and ambitious. We aim to bridge academia, business, public, administration, and NGOs, enabling us to lead digital transformation and actively shape our shared future. One of the central themes we focus on today is, of course, generative AI and its practical applications. And this is precisely why we have decided to organize this conference, to engage in dialogue, to engage in critical thinking, share ideas, and explore together how AI is transforming teaching, research, but also the broader academic community.
So my name's Neil Selwyn. I'm a professor at Monash University in Melbourne, Australia, and it's a pleasure to be at this GenAI conference. I think it's really important that academics, administrators, teachers and students get together to talk about a topic like GenAI collectively and make sense of it as a collective. GenAI means so many different things to different people. There are lots of different GenAI tools and also lots of disciplinary perspectives. A physicist is going to think about GenAI very different from someone in the humanities. So I think a conference like this is great. It's great to actually talk about what it is we do with GenAI. And I think we need more research on how GenAI is actually being used rather than how people assume it's being used. So we hear lots of talk about how students are using GenAI, and I'd love to see more research that looks at students' actual uses, the reasons and motivations behind those uses, and students' opinions about the possible benefits but also the possible drawbacks of this technology. This technology is not going to go away, but I think we need to think really, really carefully as a university about why we're using the technology and the values behind it. So research on students' real-life uses will be perfect.
I punktem wyjścia, który otworzył naszą debatę, było taka oto teza, która jest bardzo ważna. Mianowicie, że sztuczna inteligencja nie jest problemem, ona raczej odsłania problemy i słabości, które mamy w systemie szkolnictwa wyższego.
Yesterday we had a students' hearing, and the main purpose was to give them voice about the generative AI, about the regulations, about the ethics, about the environmental impact, all of the things that concern us. And the outcome of the students' hearing was heard at today's conference. And after that, we had a discussion that made us realize that artificial intelligence is not only helping us, not only disrupting, but also it makes us rethink our practices of education, of research, and how we think our life at the academia is organized.
The thing I want to thank about is Professor Giza's talk from us students. It was a voice of students that was really needed. And this is something that I think maybe as a student's voice from me that we want to continue, that I think that such debates should repeat more often, and not just be heard once and left over, and even said that, okay, we're gonna do something, but then probably like something happens, but we need this like continuous talk with students to make a big change, really like something to change, because one talk in a few years will not do.
I think this is a very important event, the conference on generative AI in education and in research. The topic responds to a highly heated debate in the academic circle and also outside academia on how to use these new tools which become available in various forms and shapes, and which certainly give us advantage when approaching solutions of our research or educational challenges and problems. The conference is devoted to a discussion on various aspects of the process of introducing, implementing generative AI into the university life. So we take these issues seriously. We recognize the urgency of the problem because artificial intelligence develops very fast. We hope that at the university shall appear new research groups using artificial intelligence to solve demanding research problems. Such projects have been formulated and submitted to financing agencies like NCBR and Foundation for Polish Science, and university resources should also be used and will be used to enhance activity in this area.
Conferences like this one provide an important occasion for colleagues to come together, because if we are to respond to the changing world, to the changing way in which students are using technology, to the changes in education, we need to respond as a group of colleagues, as a group together. People need to come together, staff need to be collective in their response. It's not just enough for individuals to make choices, or even for a university as a whole to establish a policy. It has to happen with members of staff sharing ideas, exchanging perspectives with each other, and finding ways forward, because imaginative responses are needed that involve different approaches in different parts of the university, and that requires a collective understanding, collective way forward, and that does depend on people coming together in order to make sense of this new world. In terms of research in higher education, it's important that we understand what this field is, because learning doesn't happen on its own. Teaching doesn't happen just on its own. We need to make sense of it, and that does benefit greatly from researching in the field, from being able to adapt. If you're developing a new form of education, you have to adapt it, you have to offer it in an effective manner, in a way that works, in a way that makes sense, in a way that takes account of the situations that people are living in. So it is important to engage in research that explains education so that you can offer ways that make sense and that take the world forward.
So we are after the first day of the conference. What do you think? Was it worth to organize it?
You're talking about those dozens of hours that we invested and our students and PhD candidates invested in organizing this conference. Yeah, why not? Because we've learned a lot of things that are important for development of academia. For example, I taught myself today that there are very different perspectives on how universities should use GenAI.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
For me, that was a fun because actually we were
Fun.
together.
It was fun.
Yes, it was fun, and because we were together, we were cooperating, and actually as a team, I think that we are very, very efficient, and I like this time to be here, to be with people, to get some relations, to have talks, and it's nothing related to AI.
Yeah, but also we've started this debate on generative AI, and also we introduced not only perspective of students, but also of our university authorities. So perhaps they listened,
Yeah.
and something will change.
Exactly. So the future is here.
Wow.
Hi guys, I'm data scientist from University of Warsaw. I'm from the economics field, and I have to say we as a university have to rethink our position. So especially in relation to our rivals across the Atlantic, who are investing a lot of money in LLMs, in large language models right now. They are investing huge amounts of money in infrastructure, and we need to rethink what we here as academia in Europe can do, especially in Poland. We need to think smartly. We need to maybe not compete in terms of infrastructure, but maybe how to use these new tools in an agile way. For example, by fine-tuning these models, quantizing them, using them in a smart way so that we can compete with these big players. And how we can do this? We have much less resources, right? So probably the road to follow is to do some networking. There are huge networks in Europe of universities who are trying to compete with big players from other regions, let's say, by fine-tuning these new tools on our languages, right? So that they won't be only trained on US or English texts. And probably this is a way to go, and this is something that we can do in Europe, in Poland. Let's cooperate together, let's bring our resources together and come up with smart ways to compete in this new AI world. Thanks.
It was definitely worth to meet, and I think that during my panel we actually came to some conclusions, especially that what we actually should teach is thinking, probably critical thinking, and even if we teach mathematics, social science, humanities, we should concentrate on students' ability to actually be innovative and creative and just think.
As a representative of the humanities, it is important and very developing our understanding of using AI in the higher education when we are able to compare our different views, but also our different ideas how we can use the generative AI both in didactics, teaching students, but also in our administrative work, and definitely also it is interesting to see how we can use it in scientific work, and what others have already tried we can learn from their mistakes, fortunately, helpfully, so we are not repeating the mistakes already done.
Multiple inputs from different perspectives. Mostly we also have the perspective of students, and as for me it's the most important as I'm a student also. And I think that the biggest impact of today's conference was that we actually had this discussion between two different perspectives.
I'm very grateful that we had these student consultations yesterday and that our voice was heard today on the conference. because this is a very divisive issue, and we could see this today during some of the discussions, some of the panel debates, and I know that both students and the professors on the university have very different opinions on AI. One of the panelists said that even though on his university AI is being implemented and they have a big program of implementing AI into research, he said that around 80% of professors didn't even talk with their students about this issue, and that they are afraid of even touching it. So I really hope that such conferences as the one today will help us to find common ground on this issue.
AI is here. It affects our lives, it affects our universities, and we need to find a way to use it wisely. We need platforms and ways to communicate and to cooperate during the process. Thank you, DELab, thank you, University of Warsaw, for giving academic world platform to discuss chances, opportunities, and threats that AI is bringing to our world.